The clock ticked, loud and slow, like it knew he was wasting time. Eli stared at the blinking cursor on his laptop screen. Blank document. Just his name at the top. Eli Hartman. Like it was taunting him. The application for the startup accelerator was due in 3 hours. His idea, one he'd carried in silence for 3 years, was stuck behind fear and perfectionism. He hadn't written a word. In the apartment above a laundromat in Pittsburgh, the air felt thick with failure. Outside, the late March wind swept trash down the street and rattled the loose window pane. Inside, Eli sat frozen, eyes bloodshot, heartbeat low and dull like background noise. His right leg bounced restlessly under the desk. His phone lit up with a message from his mother. "Don't forget, Uncle Ray's service is next Saturday. Let me know if you can speak." He swiped it away. The guilt of unread texts was nothing compared to the weight on his chest now. "Just write the damn thing," he whispered to himself, voice cracked from a long night without sleep. He reached for the coffee cup, but it was empty. Of course it was. Everything felt empty. The voice inside his head was louder than usual. "You're not good enough. Someone else has already built this. You're not technical enough. You're not ready." He closed his eyes and tried to breathe through it. Then, a memory hit him hard. His uncle's voice, deep, scratchy, always full of conviction. Do it scared. Do it anyway. Uncle Ray, the man who'd rebuilt his life after prison, who'd started a landscaping business with 2 borrowed lawnmowers and ended up employing 20 people, the man who never waited for perfect timing. Eli opened his eyes. He got up too quickly, knocking over the chair, and stormed into the kitchen. There were post-it notes on the fridge from weeks ago, half motivational, half desperate. One in particular, written in thick red marker, glared back at him. "Action defeats doubt." He ripped it off and slapped it onto his laptop. Then he started typing. The words didn't come out pretty. They tumbled out like rocks, misspelled and jagged, but they came. Eli wasn't thinking anymore. He was moving. Action over perfection. His chest still ached, his mind still whispered, but his hands were louder now. Outside, the city moved on as usual, indifferent, unbothered. But inside that tiny apartment above the laundromat, something shifted. Eli Hartman had taken the first step. The sun was already dipping behind the narrow skyline when Eli hit submit. He leaned back in the chair, breathing like he'd just run 5 miles. His body felt wired, jittery, but his mind, oddly, was quiet for the first time in days. The application was done, sent. No more editing, no more stalling. And yet, the silence after action was brutal. He stared at the confirmation screen like it owed him applause, like the act of finally doing something should feel more victorious. But there was no fanfare, just quiet. Then his stomach growled, loudly. He looked at the time, 7:12 p.m. He hadn't eaten since a protein bar at 9 a.m. He stood up, legs stiff, and grabbed his wallet and jacket. The wind outside bit through his hoodie the moment he stepped out, but the walk to the bodega on the corner helped him shake off the tension. As he walked past cracked sidewalks and rusted fences, Eli caught his reflection in a dark storefront window. Tired eyes, messy curls, jaw clenched without him realizing. He stopped. "Why is this so damn hard?" he asked the reflection. He wasn't just talking about the application, it was everything. Waking up early, taking calls, believing in himself. For someone who'd read every self-help book and journaled religiously, he still felt paralyzed more days than not. Inside the bodega, the fluorescent lights buzzed above rows of instant noodles, dented cans, and dusty chips. He grabbed a sandwich and a Gatorade. The guy behind the counter, Malik, gave him a nod. "Big weekend?" Malik asked casually. "Not really," Eli said, then paused. "Actually, yeah, I submitted something big today." "That right?" Malik scanned the items. "Feels good to move, huh?" Eli nodded slowly. "Yeah, scary though." Malik chuckled, handing him the bag. "Scary means it's real." Back outside, Eli sat on the curb and opened the sandwich. The sky was fading to violet, and a couple of teenagers zoomed past on scooters, laughing like they had nothing to fear. Eli remembered being like that once, before the layoff, before the breakup with Lena, before he started over at 30, wondering if he'd already missed the window for greatness. He took a bite. The sandwich was dry but warm, and in this moment that was enough. His phone buzzed, a message from Theo, his former roommate and once co-founder of a short-lived startup. "Dude, just saw your name on the Founder House submissions list. Proud of you." Eli stared at the message, a lump rising in his throat. He hadn't told anyone he was applying. He didn't want to face the embarrassment if he failed again. But someone had noticed, someone believed. He exhaled, long and slow. The first step hadn't fixed everything, but it proved one thing: he was still in the fight. By Monday morning, the high from submitting had worn off. Eli sat at his desk, eyes locked on his inbox like it might blink first. The confirmation email was still the last thing he'd received from Founder House. Nothing since. No updates, no rejections, just silence. He'd read somewhere that silence was neutral. It didn't mean yes or no. But when you've been rejected enough times, silence feels like a soft no. His phone buzzed, not the email, just an Instagram notification. Someone posted a smoothie bowl in Bali. He sighed and minimized the tab. Work was slow. Freelance design projects trickled in, but nothing steady. He had one logo revision due by noon, but every time he opened Illustrator, his mind floated back to the application. What if it wasn't good enough? What if he'd missed a question? What if the file didn't even upload right? He rubbed his temples. Obsessing wasn't productive. That's what his therapist used to say. Action kills anxiety, she'd remind him. So he opened the logo file and forced himself to tweak colors and clean up the kerning. 20 minutes in, his phone rang. Unknown number. He hesitated, thumb hovering over decline, but something told him to answer. "Hello? Eli Hartman." "Yes. This is Liza from Founder House. Do you have a few minutes?" His stomach dropped. Yes, I do." There was a pause, and then the voice softened. "We reviewed your application, and we're impressed. We'd like to invite you for a second-round interview this Thursday. It'll be virtual, about 25 minutes. Eli blinked. His mind raced to catch up. That's great, thank you." She chuckled lightly. "You sound surprised." I wasn't sure I'd even hear back." "Well, you did, and you're on the shortlist." After a few logistical details and a goodbye, the call ended. Eli sat frozen. Then he stood. Then he shouted into the empty apartment. "Yes!" He paced, laughing, running both hands through his hair. It wasn't acceptance, but it was real. It was happening. Second round, shortlist. He grabbed a post-it and wrote "Thursday second round interview" in bold red letters and stuck it above the coffee maker. Then he wrote another note and placed it on the mirror in the hallway. "Prove you belong." That night, he didn't sleep much. Not out of fear this time, but anticipation. He opened his old pitch deck and started editing slides. He practiced how he'd explain the user problem, how his platform would address it, and why he was the one to build it. He wasn't perfect, but he was preparing. And for the first time in months, Eli didn't feel like an imposter playing founder. He felt like a contender. Thursday morning. Eli stood in front of the mirror, wearing a dark blue button-down and khaki chinos. Clean, simple, sharp enough to look professional without trying too hard. He adjusted the collar, ran his fingers through his curls, and took a deep breath. This was it. He'd rehearsed for 3 days, practiced answers, tweaked his pitch deck until every word felt precise. Still, his heart pounded like it didn't trust him. He stared into his reflection. "You've done the work, now show up." He didn't sound convincing, even to himself. The laptop was already set up on the dining table. Webcam tested, slides loaded, background cleared. He'd even moved the dyeing plant off screen. 10 minutes to go. He sipped cold coffee and repeated the mantra he'd written on another post-it. "Don't aim to impress, aim to connect." At exactly 10 a.m., the screen blinked to life. 3 faces appeared. A woman in glasses named Liza, a man in a hoodie named Marcus, and a sharp-looking investor type named Kayla. All smiles, all poised. "Hi, Eli," Liza greeted. Thanks for making the time. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. He surprised himself. It didn't sound rehearsed. They got right into it. Questions about the problem his product solved, his competitors, how he planned to find his first 100 users, what failure would look like. Kayla pressed hard, especially when he mentioned his lack of a technical co-founder. And what makes you think you can execute this without one? She asked, tilting her head. He paused. That old panic bubbled up, but he didn't let it win. Because I've spent the last 3 years obsessing over this problem. I know the pain point, I know the user, and I know where to find the right help. I may not write every line of code, but I will lead with clarity, relentlessly. A long silence. Then Marcus nodded. Good answer. They asked one final question. Why you? Why now? He answered not from the script, but from his gut. Because I've waited long enough, and I'm done waiting for permission. The call ended with polite thank yous and next steps. As the screen faded, Eli sat back, hands trembling. He'd done it, not flawlessly, but fully. The waiting began again, but this time it felt different. He wasn't just a guy with an idea anymore. He was someone who'd shown up when it counted. That afternoon he walked to the park just to feel the sun. Trees were just beginning to bud, Pittsburgh's slow promise of spring. Kids chased each other across muddy grass. An old man tossed bread to pigeons. Eli sat on a bench and closed his eyes. He didn't know what would come next, but for once that didn't scare him, it thrilled him. The email came on a Friday afternoon, exactly 1 week after the interview, but Eli didn't see it right away. He was deep in a freelance project, earbuds in, zoning out to lo-fi beats while designing an ad layout for a dental clinic. The notification popped up in the corner of the screen, quiet and unassuming. Subject, welcome to Founder House. Next steps. He froze. For a full 10 seconds he couldn't move, just stared. Then he clicked. The email was short, formal, but unmistakably clear. Congratulations, Eli. We're thrilled to invite you into the spring cohort of Founder House. We believe in your vision and are excited to support your journey. He read it twice, then a third time. He looked around his tiny apartment like he needed a witness. Then he stood up and laughed, loud, open, half in disbelief. He spun in a circle. Yes, yes, yes. He grabbed his phone and called the only person who always picked up, his mother. She answered on the second ring. Hey, honey, everything okay? I got in. She was quiet for a beat. Founder House? Yeah, just now. They said yes. The smile in her voice was immediate. Eli, that's amazing. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. His chest tightened. Not from fear this time, but release. The kind that only comes when someone sees how hard you've been fighting behind closed doors, she added softly. Uncle Ray would have been proud too, you know that, right? I know, he whispered. They talked a little more, about logistics, about the next steps, about how maybe now he could finally take a break from survival mode. After hanging up, he sat down on the couch and just let himself feel it. The win, the relief, the opening of a door he'd convinced himself wasn't for people like him. Later that night, he met Theo for drinks. They sat at a dive bar near campus, old punk posters on the walls, neon lights flickering above the bar. Theo raised a glass. To getting back in the game. Eli clinked his. To not quitting. Honestly, Theo said, I didn't think you'd send the application. Neither did I. Theo leaned in. You know this doesn't mean it's going to be easy, right? I know. You still have to build the thing. Sell the thing, probably fail 5 more times. Eli smirked. Yeah, but now I get to do it with a shot. They drank in silence for a while, each lost in thought. Eli felt the quiet shift in his body. He wasn't scared of failure anymore. He was scared of not trying. The first week of Founder House was chaos in the best way. Early mornings, back-to-back workshops, pitch reviews, and a Slack channel that never slept. The cohort was diverse, founders from all over the country, some fresh out of college, others with years of corporate experience. Eli felt both invisible and hyper-aware, like he was trying to prove he deserved to be in the room every second. But he showed up, every day, camera on, notes taken. Questions asked, He made a checklist on his wall titled "Move the Needle." Each night before bed, he marked off tiny wins, sent feedback survey, rewrote landing page copy, reached out to 3 early adopters. It wasn't glamorous, but it was forward. One evening, Liza, the same program lead who had called him for the interview, hosted a fireside Zoom chat. No slides, no structure, just truth. She said something that stuck to Eli like glue. The ones who succeed aren't always the smartest. They're the ones who keep moving when things stop feeling fun. Eli thought about all the times he'd paused when momentum faded. How many half-built projects, half-pitched ideas, half-believed dreams he'd buried in Google Docs. Not this time. He decided he'd do one thing every day that scared him. Day 1, he cold emailed a CEO he admired. Day 2, he posted about his startup publicly for the first time. Day 3, he scheduled a call with a skeptical mentor who'd once told him to get real. Day 4 came harder. They were doing peer-to-peer founder pitches, real-time feedback, no sugarcoating. Eli stood in his cramped apartment facing the webcam, palms sweaty. His pitch lasted 4 minutes. When it ended, silence. Then a woman from Oakland named Priya unmuted. "You clearly care, but it still sounds like an idea, not a product. What exactly are you building?" Eli's throat tightened. He didn't get defensive. He didn't shrink. Instead, he said, "That's fair. I've been stuck in abstract. Let me be clearer." He started again, simpler, direct. And when he finished the second time, heads were nodding. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. After the call, Marcus, the quiet guy with a fintech background, messaged him privately. "Respect. Most folks get defensive. You didn't. That'll take you far." Eli stared at the message, something warm spreading through his chest. That night, as he lay in bed exhausted but alive, he realized something strange. He didn't miss the numbness. He didn't crave escape. He felt fire in his bones. And for the first time in a long time, he wasn't running from anything. He was running towards something. The final demo day came faster than Eli expected. 6 weeks of momentum, doubt, breakthroughs, and brutal feedback had shaped him into someone he barely recognized, but deeply respected. His product had a name now, a waitlist, a clear value prop, and somehow a team of 2 part-time devs who believed in the vision enough to join him on sweat equity alone. It was 8:42 a.m. When he stepped into the Founder House co-working space in Brooklyn, his first time seeing many of the cohort members in person. The city buzzed beyond the tall windows, spring rain tapping the glass like soft applause. Inside, tension hummed through the air. Everyone was rehearsing, everyone was pacing. Eli stood in front of the mirror in the hallway bathroom, tie in hand. He wasn't used to dressing up, but today called for something more than a hoodie. As he knotted the tie, he remembered Uncle Ray's voice again, low, steady. "You don't need to look the part. You just need to be the part." He straightened the knot. He was the part now. At 10 KC sharp, the pitches began. Investor panels watched silently as each founder took the stage, 5 minutes each, one shot. When his name was called, Eli's hands went cold, but his spine stayed straight. He walked up, lights hot, room quiet. He took a breath. "Hi, I'm Eli Hartman, founder of SignalTap, a platform helping solo creatives turn audience attention into actual income, not just likes." The words flowed. No stumbles, no filler, no jargon, just purpose. He showed early traction, testimonials, the roadmap. Even a story about his own burnout that had sparked the whole idea. He ended with one clear sentence: "People like me don't need another newsletter. We need leverage. That's what I'm building." Applause broke through like light after fog. He walked off stage, blinking back tears. Not because of fear, but because he had nothing left to prove. He'd already won. Later, as people mingled, Kayla, the sharp investor from his first interview, approached him with a card. "I'd like to talk next week," she said. "There's something here." Eli held the card like it was fire. Outside, the rain had stopped. The sun broke through, slick pavement catching the light like gold. He called his mom. "Done," he said. "I watched the stream," she replied, voice thick with pride. "You looked like you belonged." He smiled. I felt like it. As he walked through Brooklyn streets full of life and noise, past bodegas and brownstones, yellow cabs and corner vendors, Eli didn't think about what was next. He just let the feeling settle in. He'd taken the leap. He'd forced himself into motion, and somewhere along the way he'd stopped waiting for permission to live his life. Weeks after demo day, Eli found himself back in Pittsburgh for Uncle Ray's memorial service. The church was modest, folding chairs, dim light, and the smell of old wood and stronger memories. After the service, Eli reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a letter he'd written but never sent, meant for Uncle Ray months earlier. He stepped outside into the breeze, unfolded it, and read aloud, "I took the shot, Ray, just like you told me. I stopped waiting to feel ready. I moved, scared, unsteady, but forward. You always said action creates belief. Turns out you were right." He folded it again, pressed it to his chest, and smiled. In that moment, he didn't feel lost. He felt carried.